What's going on, everybody? It's Jack here, stage name Ninjak, and we are back with week number 6 of the MDL. This is the second to last week of this monotype draft league, and I finally put together for you guys a current standings. I said I was going to do that like every week or something. Didn't happen till week 6. I am awesome. So we'll zoom in a little bit here. Here is the status of it, okay? Ghost is in first place with 25 kills, 2 weeks remaining, but look at second, third, and fourth. There's a three-way tie at 23 kills between myself, the poison type, the water type, and the steel type. And don't forget that Fairy's only 1 kill behind that. So going into these last 2 weeks, the top spots were heavily contested. So pretty exciting coming into these weeks. We are the only undefeated team at this stage, so we win all tiebreakers, but we have to have more kills, and Ghost type is up on kills on us. So I knew there was pressure going into this battle because I needed to be picking up 6 kills each battle the remainder of the season, or I basically was gonna have no shot, because first of all, if Ghost picked up double sixes, they won. There was nothing that could be done. No one could stop them. They could go 6-5, 5-6. All they needed was 11 to guarantee win. Poison, myself, needed the 12s, as did Water, basically because of how contested these spots were. Because we were fighting so doggedly for second place and potentially first place if someone could shut down Ghost, you basically needed every single kill you could get. I knew that the very last week, Ghost and Water had to battle. So in my mind, I was like, one of them is not going to get 6 kills. I mean, obviously, right? Is that always obvious? Excuse me. I guess technically there are scenarios where, like, Toxic could take you out, or, you know, a Destiny Bond scenario or something. But the point is, I knew that Ghost and Water had to battle still, and so that one of them was going to take the hit. Now, in my situation, I was hoping it would be Ghost that would take the hit because they had the lead. I wanted them to be the ones that didn't get to 6. But yeah, you guys can see there was a ton of pressure to try to get 6 kills this week because we really just couldn't afford to fall behind. It was so heavily contested. It was so tight up in the top spots that there was just nothing. There wasn't wiggle room. You know, you really had to play it smart and play it well. So I'll give you guys a little bit of my thought. Oh, I should tell you who I'm playing. So I played the Dragon type this week, and it was you know, an important battle, like I just said. And going into it, I had hoped to try a couple more strategies throughout the season, and I knew, you know, okay, during the move I probably don't try a lot, but maybe the last 2 weeks I can try stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time, so I kind of had to stick with a fairly similar strategy. You guys won't be shocked by the Pokemon. But this is a super cool battle because while I was attempting to use the same strategy, my opponent was prepared. And so you guys get to see a lot more thinking on my part, really trying to figure out what we can do with the game. It was a very fun battle. I enjoyed it a lot. And so, yeah, again, we're doing the voiceover because my capture card broke. Really stinks. And I just, with only a few weeks left, I was like, I don't see a reason to go buy another one right now. Excuse me, my goodness. So I went and recorded it elsewhere with a friend, actually the person who has the water type team. And so that's why we're doing a voiceover again this week and next week to finish out the league. Is what it is. I'm just doing what I can with what I was given, playing the cards I was dealt. So we will hop in here and take a look at team preview. So my opponent has Noivern, Goodra, Garchomp, Duraludon, Dragapult, and why am I blanking on that thing's name? I know, Zygarde. Thank you, viewers, for helping me come up with that. That was you that did that, apparently, because I said thank you. So in this scenario, I'm like, okay, what is our lead here? Now, Need No Queen, obviously running Ice Beam against the Dragon type. Gordo, ironically, still had Earthquake in this scenario. You'll see that in the course of the battle. But basically, I'm looking at their team going, what do I think they're doing? And my thought is, I'm guessing it's a Noivern lead. It's either a Tailwind or, Draco Meteor, some kind of powerful attack. Noivern's a generally decent lead, but Eternatus just one-shots like this. I mean, the entire team. Specs Eternatus, Dynamax Cannon is just fantastic. And what's hilarious is I was texting this person beforehand, and they actually said they had an inkling of what my strategy might be, and they sent this meme with this giant face, and it said, "I'm a fire in my laser." And I was like, just thinking to myself, like, yep, you do know my strategy then, because that is the plan. And so you can see we actually get it correct. Noivern was, in fact, that lead. So I come out with my Choice Specs Eternatus. Now, Eternatus is super fast, as you guys have seen throughout the season. Now, it does have Frisk, so now my opponent knows that I'm locked into this. So, yeah, and we do still have Meteor Beam, because I was like, look, I'm clicking Dynamax Cannon every single time. So I didn't even bother messing with the moves, because that is the only reason, like, that's all you would click with this dude. It's so strong. So we do click Dynamax Cannon, and I'm expecting maybe a Sash Tailwind or something along those lines. I didn't know for sure if it would be Sash. I'm just thinking, like, what can my opponent do here? So we hit them, and it is revealed to be Sash. That is not Invisible Sash. That move kills 5,000% of the time without Sash. And then click Dragon Pulse. Now, I'm thinking, okay, Eternatus has base 140 health. We definitely lived that, but that did a lot more than I would have expected. I was actually thinking afterwards, if that had been Draco Meteor, we lose Eternatus there, assuming it hits. And, of course, we all know that 10% moves can miss, don't we? Meteor Beam week 2 would have put us in a better spot if we didn't miss that. So, obviously, I click it again. There's not really a reason to swap here. And what are they going to do that prevents this from working? Whew. Man, you would think I didn't sleep well, but actually I slept great last night. So we take out Noivern, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, I truly have no reason to ever swap this. And they go into Garchomp. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, they went there somewhat quickly, and Garchomp is super good against the Poison type, okay, because it's ground type, so Stab super effective Earthquake. I'm sitting here wondering, why would you swap into Garchomp, which seems like an important Pokemon for you, on my Eternatus? So I'm trying to decide, do I swap into a Mungus here, where Earthquake is neutral? Obviously, we don't want to go to Gengar, because it would die. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out, okay, what's our play here? And I'm just looking at my team, I'm like, honestly, let's just click it again. If it goes first, then we know it's Choice Scarf. Because that's what I'm thinking. This thing, I'm like, is this Scarf? Like, they went into this a little too confidently, and this is such an important Pokemon for my opponent. So I'm like, this thing's got, like, is it Scarf? I don't know. And I was like, let's find out. And they do go first, and so we go, okay, so it is Scarf Chomp. It kind of stinks for Eternatus. You know, he obviously was a very powerful threat to my opponent. I mean, he literally one-shots everything. So, was it good to get rid of it there? I don't know, but my thought was, if it is Scarf, what am I going to do about it? I guess I could have gone to a Mungus in hindsight, sacked it, and then brought out... Because the idea was get this in without breaking Sash so that we can set up. That's the thought process here. So I'm thinking about what they've got, and I'm like, I think Swords Dance into here is okay. Now, something I'm a little worried about in the back of my head is, can Drapion take an Earthquake from this? Like a Stab, super effective Earthquake? I'm not so sure. But I thought, let's get up a Swords Dance and kind of get the strategy going, get it prepared. And they actually swap, which is super interesting. And they go to Dragapult, which is obviously very quick. So I get a Swords Dance off effectively for free. Honestly, I don't know if swapping there... I don't know. I don't know if my Drapion was going to live that Earthquake or not. I really don't know. But now I'm looking at my team, I'm like, okay, so they went into their Dragapult, but I'm like, I have an Unbroken Sash Scolipede. And so I'm just kind of looking at my team, doing some analysis, trying to think, okay, is there any reason I don't just Swords Dance again here? What do I have in the back? And, you know, I've only got one physical Pokemon. That's Drapion. And I guess Scolipede. So I was like, maybe I could just Earthquake. I do have a Swords Dance off. I was like, I see no reason not to set up again. Because we have not lost Sash. And I was pretty sure the Dragapult was special just because that's fairly common. And I was like, we should live. I mean, well, we guarantee live any hit because of our Focus Sash. The only thing I'm wondering is, like, do Dragon Darts kill? But I don't think they would. They probably do a lot, but I don't think they kill. So we set up again. Why not? So now we're at +4 attack, and at the end of the turn we'll be at +2 speed, and they click Thunder Wave, and I hate this for my opponent. This was such good tech, okay? Because my opponent knew that I was running this strategy. If they connect that, now I have to risk... First of all, I'm slower, so you can hit me before I swap. And I can never set up again. Second of all, if they hit that, I might get parried, and they might be able to kill me before I get my baton pass off. So I hate that my opponent missed that, because honestly, that could... Like, that would have been big. That would have been very, very big. That could have been a huge problem. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, shoot, what do I do now? Because I don't want Drapion to get paralyzed on entry. Because, you know, they're just going to click it again. So we come here, and I decide to go for Nidoking to read the Thunder Wave. And now we have a super fast Nidoking with Life Orb, Sheer Force, Ice Beam. In hindsight, I don't... This is a good play. This is a good play. So I'm trying to decide which one does more damage, and the answer is Ice Beam. Also, Ice Beam covers all of his team. Actually, her team. I'm really sorry about all this yawning. I'm not tired. So we go for the Ice Beam. Obviously, we outspeed at +2. And we take that boy down. You can only have one Focus Sash, and that was the Noivern. So we take that down. And I'm not sure how I'm feeling at this point. I'm like, okay, this is big because we just got rid of the speed control in Thunder Wave. So now we should be able to get Scolipede in and do it again later for Drapion if we need to. Also, Nidoking is a monster and can just be clicking these massively powerful Ice Beams. So I'm trying to think, like, okay, are we in a good spot? We've got some good speed control. Or we got rid of their speed control, so now our speed control should win. Oh my gosh. Very sorry about that. As they go to Goodra. Now, I know that Goodra's mega special bulky and frequently Assault Vest. And also that would be a great answer to Eternatus, which I knew my opponent knew I was bringing. Follow that sentence. So I'm like trying to decide, like, you know, do I swap here? Like, what do I do with this? Because I can swap and, like, Spore and then try to get Scolipede back in. But it feels like it's kind of a waste of a turn because, like, my opponent could just do an attack and I have these speeds. And I think about it and I'm like, you know, I might as well fish for, like, I might as well gather info because it's not killing in one hit. I might as well see what it's running. So we click an Ice Beam and do nothing. We may as well have missed that move. And they click Mud Shot, which is super interesting because that is another form of potential speed control. I can't remember if that always drops speed or not. I don't think it does. So we confirm, okay, definitely Assault Vest. So I'm like, we're going to go into a Mungus here so that we can gain some momentum using Spore. So gotta love the fact that my opponent has a lot of good speed control on this team. Mud Shot, Thunder Wave. They knew what kind of strategies I was running, and they prepared for it. And as a result, I wasn't just Drapion Ice Fanging everything like in other weeks. I don't know if they read this swap or they just knew that Ice Beam was also good into Nidoking, but that was a super good move by them. I was like, that was not fun. So we go for Spore here. Might as well set something to sleep because that gives us some momentum that we can then get Scolipede in. So my opponent is clearly thinking here, okay, I know I'm not killing this Amoonguss, at least not in one hit unless we get like a major crit. And they're clearly trying to figure out what do they do here. Because they probably know I'm clicking Spore. I don't know what I would do per se, but they do swap into Duraludon. Probably because they knew they needed Goodra to deal with Nidoking. So I think that makes sense. My only thought is what was the Dynamax target for them? Because at this point they have Scarf Garchomp, Duraludon, Assault Vest Goodra, and Zygarde. Oh, that's right. Zygarde. So Zygarde was probably what they were planning to Dynamax, so Duraludon was a reasonable swap to take the Spore. So we get back in our Scolipede. Now you'll notice how much dancing we're having to do in this battle. My opponent, I was talking to them some before, they'd actually watched my videos, which I was really excited about, because I was like, okay, so someone knows like what I'm doing, because I haven't been shy about it. Like I haven't been trying to hide it or anything. I told everyone, you know, watch my videos. I'm all for it. You'll notice how much I'm having to dance in this. I'm not just going big and clicking a ton of super powerful hits of Drapion, because my opponent brought answers. They brought Thunder Wave. They brought Assault Vest Goodra to deal with Nidoking. So my opponent swaps into Zygarde here while we get a Swords Dance off. So here I'm thinking, okay, there's a couple of Zygarde sets. This might be the Coil subset. It could be just straight Coil. I can't remember if it learns Swords Dance or not. I don't think it does. But the point is there are a lot of Zygarde sets, and I'm trying to figure out what do they do. And I know that it learns Thunder Wave. And then it hits me, guys. Then it hits me. You remember when I baton passed into Nidoking earlier to read the Thunder Wave? That was dumb. Guys, I have Lumberry on Drapion. I was thinking it was still Citrus back then, but I have Lumberry. I had forgotten. I didn't mean Thunder Wave. I did mean to say Glare. I promise you. I meant to say Glare. I meant to say Glare. So they paralyzed me, but we've got the Lum to undo it. So honestly, earlier I should have swapped in a Drapion, knowing that I could take one para, but I just forgot, to be honest. So here we absolutely have to just go for it, because we can't afford for Zygarde to, you know, we can't miss and then have Zygarde glare us. And also, there's not much of a reason not to go for it, because now we've got our sweeper in, and they don't have a fast Dragapult remaining. So we outspeed their whole team at this point. So we might as well, it's time. I'm like, all right, we're gonna take some kills with Drapion. And then we should have enough power with Nidoking and Gengar in the back to finish off whatever's left. So that's the game plan I'm working toward. Because I know that if I can get it down to 1, we have that Destiny Bond Gengar, so we always have a checkmate if we can force them into like only having 1 Pokemon left. And my opponent still has 5 at this point, right? But one of them's asleep. Zygarde, Goodra, Duraludon, Garchomp. No, they have 4. They have 4. So I'm like, if we can get a kill each of these turns with Drapion, then we can force them into Garchomp or Zygarde. One of those Pokemon. Garchomp was just the last one I remembered saying. I'm assuming Duraludon's not going to be the one they save because it's asleep. So I'm sitting here thinking, what do I do if I'm my opponent? And I'm looking at their team, and I go, Goodra can't 1v1 the team because I have Amoonguss. Duraludon's asleep. I just killed Zygarde, which I thought was the max target. And so I'm like, okay, I think Garchomp is their max target. And given Garchomp is so important to their team, being stabbed ground with a scarf, I'm like, max is kind of awkward for them. But like, that's what I'm guessing they're looking at now, because you don't max the thing that's asleep. Goodra's already taken damage and is a special bulky Pokemon, so it doesn't work against Drapion. And if you don't stop Drapion, it will kill your whole team. So I'm like, okay, so my opponent's probably going to stall out my max and try to go for the late game Garchomp sweep. But we do have Gengar. But then it's starting to occur to me, oh, we have Gengar, but Destiny Bond doesn't work on Dynamax, which would be super awkward. So this battle is far from over. We got a big momentum swing using our Lumberry to get rid of paralysis so we can take several kills. But my opponent's being really smart here by sacking, like Duraludon was asleep with no sleep turns. That's not true. I think it might have slept for 1 turn. Duraludon basically was not a reliable Pokemon because it was asleep. So it was the perfect sack. Waste my Dynamax turns. I promise you guys, like I was like 10 minutes ago before this video, wasn't yawning. I have no clue what's happening. So here I'm assuming that my opponent is looking probably Goodra because Garchomp is a fantastic answer against all of my team because Garchomp can beat any of my team 1v1 with Dynamax option because it's got Stab Ground. And so sure enough, they go Goodra. And Goodra being Assault Vest and super special bulky is not looking to Dynamax against the Drapion with +2 attack. My opponent has seen what Drapion can do. My opponent knows it's very powerful. Obviously, we have only lost 1 Pokemon so far, so we're doing quite well. And so we go for the Max Hailstorm, obviously. I mean, it works against everything that's remaining, and we might as well use the super effective move. You know, this is what I hate about the voiceovers, guys. I have to, like, try to create content, and in the time I was thinking about stuff, and I might have been talking, but in a voiceover, I already know what my ultimate decision was, and I don't necessarily remember all of the thought process I used to get there. And so you get these like awkward gaps where I don't know what to say or do because I already know what happened. So I kind of hate voiceovers for that reason, but it is what it is. So here, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, they're probably Dynamaxing to get super health, but we should be able to kill with 4x, right? That's my thought, is okay, I think we can kill as long as we don't miss. So I'm thinking Drapion has done his thing. I love this part of the music. It reminds me of the NC State. I went to NC State University. It reminds me of the basketball games. And then, so I forgot their Scarf. They outspeed. So this was brilliant. Locking into Earthquake to take out my Drapion before it could get its attack off. So they didn't Dynamax so that they could keep the speed from Scarf, which is brilliant. And now I'm looking at my team going, wait a second. Nidoking is the only thing that has a move that like one-shots this, and it's not fast enough. And I'm looking at their team going, oh no, I messed up. I'm like, I need to think through this. How do we beat this thing? Because, yes, I want to get Gengar in and Destiny Bond it, but they still have Dynamax. And if they kill Gengar, I lose. So I'm like, okay, well, we need to stall out Max is what we need to do. So I come in with a Mungus, and I'm like, we're going to force a Spore. That's the only way that, like, this forces them to Dynamax to try to increase their power to kill a Mungus. Because the issue is I couldn't go into something where she wasn't forced to Dynamax because I need Dynamax to be gone when Gengar comes in. So my opponent Dynamaxes the Garchomp. Wow. And they go for Max Quake, which, you know, strongest stab, super effective. That's not super effective, but strongest move. And Amoonguss eats it. I mean, not really. He took a lot there. But he barely lives, and then we see that dreaded timer. And I'm like, you are kidding me. I'm like, are we seriously going to lose a potential 6-kill to timer again? Because remember, we just looked at those results. It is so important that we get all 6 of these. And so here I'm like, okay, well then I'm going straight to Nidoking. I would have stalled out with Amoonguss, but we need to get something in and try to kill this before that timer. Now, I was with a friend, the water type, and he was telling me, he's like, this opponent is not that kind of person. Like, they're not going to timer stall you, which they're not here. You can see they're attacking. All they had to do was just click. Like, they just had to wait 45 seconds, and they could have absolutely stalled my timer out, and I wouldn't have gotten all 6 kills. And that would have been so bad because of how tightly contested those top spots are. So here, my opponent is out of Dynamax. The battle ends in 56 seconds, and I'm literally going, please don't stall, please don't stall, please don't stall. I don't think they could at this point because you get a full minute to move time. So we click Destiny Bond, and my opponent is a great sport and does not stall me. So huge shout out to the Dragon type. Thank you for not stalling me. And they actually were cracking up here because I had told them how I beat Zacian in texting earlier that day. And then, of course, we curse body it as if there wasn't enough, as if it wasn't enough that my opponent literally knew I was using Destiny Bond Gengar. Of course, we then curse body their Choice Scarfed move. So it's just hilarious. And they had no choice but to attack me there because of the Choice Scarf. They had already locked in Earthquake. So that's why I knew that I could do that, and they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. That said, take a look at the overall score here, guys. Oops. See if I can get this to go away. Take a look. I only had 2 Pokemon left. No one else in the league up to this point has brought me to 2 Pokemon. This person, the Dragon type, did the most to me of anyone, and they played so well. I mean, saving the Scarf Garchomp and then not Dynamaxing because it outsped and killed Drapion, that was brilliant. That was exactly what they needed to do to stop the Drapion sweep. And then they had the Dynamax option to attempt to prevent Gengar from doing its thing. Unfortunately for them, I did have enough that I was able to basically stall it out and get to it. And they were a great sport and didn't stall me, which I really appreciated because of how hotly contested those top spots were. I was like, if they stall me out here, then I lose. I run out of the competition, I think. Which they didn't. So huge shout out to them. Thank you so much, Dragon type. And so, yeah, this was a great battle for us. We did pick up 6 kills, but we gave 4, which is the most we've given in any week. And you could see they played really well. They really played to their outs. They had answers. They had speed control. They had speed control, guys. They had Glare, Thunder Wave, and Mud Shot. Oh, and I was talking to them after. That Noivern was fantastic because you know what it had? Taunt. That Noivern could taunt my Scolipede. So Noivern stopped the Scolipede strategy. And then it had Sash so that it could then attack my Eternatus and get it within Garchomp range. So the Noivern literally covered all of their bases. It was a really well thought out team. And you can see that in the way the battle played out. I had to dance a lot trying to figure out how to do it. Now, yes, something I did realize, I messed up by not baton passing into Nidoking the first time. If I baton pass +4 attack, +2 speed Drapion, even if I get Thunder Waved, Lumberry gets rid of it. And yes, Drapion probably can still sweep the whole team at that point because then Garchomp doesn't outspeed. So it's like, yes, I messed up and it could have been another sweep. But here's the thing. No one's perfect and no one will ever play perfect. So to be like, oh, their team wasn't that good, it's only because, it's not that like, oh, well, I just messed up and their team was bad. No, their team was really good. And yes, I messed up, but you can bank on someone messing up. But I did realize after, I was like, oh, darn, if I had done that, it would have been a lot simpler and I would have moved way quicker and I wouldn't have had to think as much. But yeah, so the battles were great. This was a very fun one, by far the most fun I had in any of the battles this season, by far. Because I had to get creative. I knew my opponent knew what I was doing, and I had to be clever about it. Going into Nidoking on the first baton pass, getting shorter. Going into Nidoking on the first baton pass, no, it wasn't the best because I forgot that I had Lumberry. But it was clever because it makes Thunder Wave do nothing because it's a ground type, and then I have a super fast Sheer Force Life Orb Nidoking in, which is very strong. So it really forced me to really think through my plays, like the end game, figuring out, okay, I need to stall out this thing. I need to stall this thing out and force it to max so that Gengar can come in and kill it. Because otherwise, it will take my whole team. And playing to that condition, I had to think, okay, so Mungus is the play here because I can put him to sleep, and they're forced to Dynamax to get as much power as possible to try to kill me before I do that. and therefore I'm forcing the max without giving up my Gengar. So it was just fun because I really had to be creative and think through what was going on. So this was a super fun battle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this analysis. Next week, we will see the final battle of the MDL Draft League. We will find out at the end of next week how the whole league turned out. That's not true. That's not true. We'll know what was necessary going into it, but we won't actually know how it turned out, will we? Because obviously we didn't know what the final scores were at that point. But I'll just give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, a preview. The plan is next week, final battle. Following week, I think I'm going to release a video doing an overall analysis of the league itself and looking at, what place did everyone come in, what types did well, what things did I learn from this, what did I see in other people, what kind of trends did I notice. And then I've got another video already in the works for Showdown. We are not dead in Showdown. We actually are still playing. In fact, if you want to see some Showdown, follow me at Twitch, guys. Follow me at Twitch, Ninjak_Pokemon, because Ninjak was taken. Go there and follow me so that you can see when I go live, because we're playing Showdown on Twitch. So please go follow me. We've been having a lot of fun just chatting, hanging out, learning together. Actually, in some of my recent streams, learned some very interesting information, one of which is going on a YouTube video, because I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I had no idea. I got to put this on YouTube. It was an interesting interaction. But yeah, and then after that, the plan is actually to do a series with Jambad from Jambad Academy, where I'm going to be paying him to tutor me and teach me to get really good at Showdown. And the plan right now is basically once a month to hire him, and he'll come in. I'm thinking it's like going to look like a Duncan style, like he did with Duncan, and then we'll have a month where he gives us some kind of homework, something to focus on to practice, and we'll do that. And then the next month he'll come in and tutor me. And the goal, guys, I want to be #1 on the OU Showdown ladder. That's where I want to get. So we'll see how close we can get to that. I got lofty aspirations, as always. But yeah, that's some stuff you guys can be looking forward to. Super cool stuff. Going to be very fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And please, please, please leave a like on the video. It really does help me out. And subscribe if you enjoyed this and you aren't subscribed already. Hope y'all are doing well, and I'll see y'all later.